And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest and greatest episode of Game Rivals. I'm one of your hosts, Maxemillian, and as always with me is the lovable, the huggable, the unstoppable Sean Templar. How's it going, Sean?
I'm good. I'm a bit tired, and people get to see into my bedroom today because we're trying out something new. It's horrible.
For the first time ever.
It's I don't know. People will have all those. Oh, this is where the magic happens. Blah 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 stuff. I'm way too old for that shit.
This is an MTV, man. This is
yeah. Welcome to my crib. It's really boring. You can see Lego boxes and PS5 boxes and. Honestly, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm just chilling here in my office, so it has like.
It's a bit more interesting. People will probably make jokes about how SM compatible my bed is, because I can tie people up to my bed, but that's not it.
No.
Yep.
Oh no, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my goodness. But we're here to not talk about weird SM stuff in your bedroom. We're here to talk about video games.
Exactly.
And it's been a little bit of a slow week. If we're talking about stuff that is actually kind of interesting to talk about, we do have some follow-up-ish kind of news. And also a bunch of just. I think this is the summer of delays, by the way, because there's like a bunch of delays been announced.
Yeah.
Actually, let's start with that because I think that's going to be quick to talk about. We missed it because it was a couple of weeks ago and it was announced on Twitter. So,
Yeah, you're on Twitter, so you should know.
I am, but I haven't been on Twitter recently for like the past month.
Why?
I didn't feel like being on Twitter for a while, so I only went there if I got like a notification, and for some reason the notifications don't really work on mobile for some reason. I might need to log back in or something. Maybe the mobile app is being stupid. But Forspoken got delayed, which we missed. They also released a new trailer releasing the new date. I think it's January 23rd.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. And the trailer that they released on Twitter exclusively, by the way, is a very poorly put together trailer, which is kind of puts the game in a not so great light, despite the fact that we've seen the game before and it looks like it has potential, and the potential is still in the trailer. It's just not edited well,
Yeah, but I think like the people that are excited for that game are still excited for that game.
Oh,
I
sure.
don't think a trailer like this will ruin the effect for them. It's just that people are dying to see more about the game, and this just kind of messes. It kind of takes away their excitement because it's like the third or the fourth time now that this game got delayed. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess nobody wants to be the next Cyberpunk, so that's probably why they're delaying it.
Well, speaking of delaying and not being the next Cyberpunk, Midnight Suns just got delayed.
Yep. And also the second or third delay for that one.
Yeah, I think this is the
second one.
Second, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fine, I guess. I mean, they finally showed gameplay during E3.
They've been doing a gameplay series.
Summer of Games.
Yeah, they've been doing like gameplay videos around their characters, because I saw one around Captain America the other day, and there's some video around Wolverine going up today and stuff like that. So they are doing more and more.
Well, I haven't seen that one yet. I want to watch that.
Yeah.
Wolverine.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it basically looks like XCOM with Marvel characters, which honestly I don't mind because I really enjoyed XCOM. So yeah, I'm up for that.
I think this is probably the least XCOM games Firaxis has made so far. It has like the basic structure, but from the gameplay that I've seen, it does things a bit more different, right? Because you're dealing with way more factors when it comes to like superpowered beings.
Yeah.
It's not just like, you walk around and like pew pew shoot shoot shooty shooty aliens and shooty shooty humans. It's
Yeah.
it's Captain America doing his Captain America stuff, throwing his shield. It's Spider Man flipping around. It's Wolverine being a total badass as always, and yeah, I it looks really cool. It's a shame that it got delayed, but you know what? I'd rather have it be delayed than come out being absolute complete crap and needing like a bunch of updates to get it back to speed.
I think a lot of people have learned from that. And you know, in the past, it felt like, I mean, that's something Ubisoft used to do a lot. It's like they just throw out the game and then they just bring out updates to fix it and to get it to the point where it initially should have been. But I
Yeah,
think that the gaming community itself has kind of gotten a little fed up with that, and I think Cyberpunk added a lot of to that as well. So now I think a lot of developers feel the pressure to like nail it from day one, because you can see that with Battlefield 2042. It came out, it was really bad, and the community was not forgiving. Even though Dice is still pouring a lot of resources in it, it's nowhere near what it could have been. And honestly, I don't think it's ever going to be where it could be, especially with Modern Warfare 2 coming out. They had one narrow window last year and they kind of wasted the opportunity. So,
yeah. No matter how good that game is gonna get, I don't think I don't think it's gonna recapture people's imagination unless a new game comes out. Um,
yeah.
or or they make a really big fuss about a really big update that like fixes everything and adds like a bunch of more stuff.
Or they could go the free to play route and kind of create like a Warzone type experience and then have it be really good. But
Mm,
I think because there are rumors going around and it's being confirmed here and there that Modern Warfare 2 is going to have a new game mode called DMZ, which is basically going to be their version of Tarkov, Escape from Tarkov. So this could be the next trend when it comes to multiplayer games. So if Modern Warfare nails this game mode, I can see all multiplayer games in the next few years getting this type of mode. Um, and yeah, I mean, Escape from Tarkov has been out for years, or it has been in beta for years, but it's an independent game. So sometimes you need a big billion-dollar property like a Modern Warfare to propel this kind of genre or multiplayer type forward, so it gets more attention. And if it succeeds, I wouldn't be surprised if Fortnite gets it and Apex Legends gets it and maybe other shooters pop up and have these types of game modes.
I
So
don't think Fortnite would ever get something like from Tarkov, considering how technical it is. So I don't think that's going to be the case, at least for that franchise. But I can see, like you saying, that it comes to other, first-person shooter franchises that are in that same kind of vein.
it'll
Um,
probably be like a casual version of Escape from Tarkov, because
yeah,
Modern Warfare needs to appeal to the 11, 12 year old that needs to shout and call your mom and your dad all sorts of stuff. So
oh, good
I am
grief!
so looking forward to that again.
No, I don't. No, I'm
Me
not.
neither. No.
Yeah.
It's that we
Yeah.
don't swear on this show. Otherwise, I would have said the things that some of these kids say.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Um, that'll be an absolute nightmare for me to edit. Um, but yeah, outside of Midnight Sun being delayed and new modes being added,
Hogwarts Legacy also got delayed this week.
Hogwarts Legacy also got delayed. And honestly, I'm going to be completely honest. We talked about this off the podcast, but I do want to rectify a statement here. It's not like I exclusively love Japanese games. First and foremost, they are a primary love for me. I love them because of how they play and how they are and the stories that they tell. That doesn't mean that I don't like Western games. And it wasn't like I wasn't looking forward to Hogwarts Legacy, but from what I've seen, it didn't really entice me enough.
I'm not surprised it got delayed. I honestly saw this coming.
Yeah,
My I
because
mean, my reaction was a big sarcastic, "Oh no, we didn't see this coming" when the news broke. So,
I mean, yeah, we had the state of play. Actually, no, let's
yep,
go back a little bit further. We had the initial reveal before the PlayStation 5 launched.
it was at a PlayStation showcase. Yeah,
Yeah. Then a whole year of nothing.
Yep.
Then we had the state of play this year earlier.
It
I
got
think,
delayed after that whole year of nothing.
yeah, it got delayed after a whole year of nothing. We got the state of play earlier this year, like in February. And then they said it was coming out at the end of this year, which I was like, yeah, okay. And then we got, recently the delay announcement. So that was like, yeah, that makes absolutely sense because after the state of play, you haven't shown anything. You weren't at Jeff
E3.
Keighley's summer event.
Yep.
You weren't nowhere to be found. Nothing was said. No
Yep.
little updates. So it makes sense that you got delayed till next year. But the question is, when next year? Because
They said when, I think.
yeah, wait, they did.
Yeah, I think they did give a release date. Because they said that the Switch version will get a release date later,
Oh yeah, but
but
that they announced that like beforehand that the Switch version
it's
actually.
February 10th, 2023 that it's coming out.
All
And then
right,
the Switch
okay,
version will launch at a later
later
date,
dates.
but it will
Yeah,
be revealed soon.
yeah, but they said that I think after the state of play revealed that it was going to be a multi-platform game, including the Switch, which again is like
I honestly
sure.
don't think it's gonna. If it's gonna be a native version on the Switch, I don't think it's gonna be a good version.
If it's not going to be well, we don't know what it's going to be. We don't know if it's going to be a cloud version because that's a possibility.
Yeah.
But I feel like if it was going to be a cloud version, they would have said so from the get go. Because, like, with for example, with with Dying Light 2, when they announced the Switch version, they immediately said, yes, the first game, so Dying Light 1, native version on Switch, apparently it runs like butter, which is crazy. But the second game is going to be cloud. They said it
Yep.
straight up. There's no reason to like pretend that it's not coming to cloud or giving people the false hope that it's not going to have a native version. So either come out of the gate and say that you're going to have a native version or not. Because even with Dying Light, that version, even though it's a cloud version, got delayed so that they could get the cloud version ready for Switch.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know what the deal is with Hogwarts Legacy. There's way too many questions that need answering before we get something more concrete. And yeah, they're saying February 10th. Sure, I'm almost willing to make a wager on this that it's not gonna hit February.
I think it's plausible to come out next because they have. Well, it's August now, so they have like 6 months to get it to a place where it's good. So I think a lot can happen in
All
six
right, all
months.
right, okay. So I will say it is possible if by next week, because next week is Gamescom. If we get a trailer at Gamescom, I will believe that it's coming out February 10th. If we don't hear anything at Gamescom, if we don't see it hide nor hair at the Game Awards, that game is getting delayed again.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
That's my hunch. That's my instinct.
Yeah, it's possible.
Oh man, I don't know. I really hope that when they do re reveal, is that the right word to use?
There's no
Yeah, sure.
reveal.
It's
They've already revealed. It's just like when they just
well, I hope the
do
next time
some.
they show a new trailer, it's way more exciting than what I saw. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looked cool. It didn't look exciting to me.
That's okay.
Oh my goodness, you. Um, but yeah, outside of that,
I
so
still think God of War is gonna get delayed this year.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
I still have a
I think
feeling
they
that's gonna
might do
happen.
like a minor delay, like what they've done in the past with other games, that they'll push it to December, and then they push it again to next year, or they just push it directly to next year to March or February.
I think if they're gonna push it, they're probably gonna push it to February.
Yeah, February, March, because usually the months that Sony brings out major titles is February, March, April.
Hmm.
So I see it shifting to Q1, Q2 next year. And I mean, at this point, honestly, I don't mind. I mean, they have, honestly, it'll be in their favor to do it because this year at the Game Awards, we already know what's going to happen. It's going to be Elden Ring versus God of War, and I think Elden Ring is going to get Game of the Year.
Oh yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
only in their it's in their best interest to just, heck, they might even do it for that reason, to just push it to next year so that they can have
Mm,
Game of the Year for next year.
I don't know. I think they'd welcome the challenge if I'm gonna be completely honest to like go up against Elden Ring. Um, because and let's be real, both games are not the same kind of game, right?
True.
They're action games, but they're both very different action games. One is a very hardcore, old school kind of difficulty, like gamer get good kind of game. Whereas God of War Ragnarok is way more, story driven, um, telling a saga. I would honestly not be surprised that by the end of that game, we get hints of a third game and that they end
Yeah,
up doing a trilogy.
could be. I think
My
they've. Oh, no, I think that's initially
Have they
like in
said
the.
that?
No, no, no. Because initially
Okay.
they said they might have gone to Egypt, for example, which before they went to the whole Norse mythology thing. So, but I mean, there's no stopping them to going to other places.
Kratos in Egypt. That's
Maybe he wants to trade in the wintry place for a nice hot place so he can get a tan and just relax.
he can never get a tan, and you know why.
I know, but
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess, but I think it's unlikely they would delay it for something that petty. To be honest, to be completely
you
fair.
don't know because there have been rumors going around that Sony wants all of their games to score like 86 or higher on a Metacritic.
Wasn't that like three
So
years ago?
I think last year. So I mean, to maximize on sales and blah blah blah. I mean, I can understand it. I mean, it's just business. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, you know what, let's just push it to next year
Hmm.
to a moment that there's not a lot happening. Give the developer some more time to polish it.
Yeah.
I mean, it still could come out this year. I know that a lot of people are hoping that it's coming out this year.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't. It's 50 at this point. It's 50-50 to me that it's coming out this year. It
Yep.
would be great if it came out this year, because if it got pushed back to like say February, anything in February is like completely ruined. I mean, Hogwarts gets ruined. Considering the fact that Forspoken is coming out the end of January, it'll have a very brief time to shine
Yep.
if it moved to February, unless it moved to like February 28th or something, which also seems like highly unlikely if they were to move it. The only other date that I can assume they'd move it is March, but that is also very close to the fiscal end of the fiscal year for Sony, since their fiscal year, just like Nintendo, ends in March on March 31st.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't know.
so I don't know if that's worth. I don't know if it's worth it for them to delay it to that late. Um, I still think it's gonna still gangbuster regardless of what time it releases, but I don't know. There's a lot of what's the
We're
word I'm
also
looking
getting
for?
Breath of the Wild 2 next year, so they don't want to go up against that. So,
But my question is, do those two overlap in terms of audience?
I mean, well, I think, yeah, because, I mean, let's be honest. You might not like it, and for you, it's not the same.
Hmm.
But I think for a lot of people, the Switch is a supplemental handheld slash console. So they have like either an Xbox or a PlayStation, which is their main console,
I mean,
and
yeah,
then their
that's what
Switch
most
is
people
their
use it for.
supplemental thing.
Yeah.
So in this case, maybe a lot of people are like, "Hey, I haven't touched my Switch in months. Breath of the Wild was a great game. Let me buy the sequel and play that first, and then maybe I'll go back to God of War later because I've played a lot of blockbuster games on my PlayStation or Xbox."
But now you're assuming that people would rather play the sequel to Breath of the Wild than God of War, which
I
is
mean, they're
which is
both
which is
heavyweights.
yeah, they are both heavyweights, but I think it's the exact opposite. I think people would rather, if it was delayed, they'd rather play God of War first.
I don't know because Breath of the Wild has its fair share of delays as well,
Yes, and we still don't know why.
and
Because
probably Breath of the Wild will probably come out with a Switch hardware revision so that there is extra excitement for people to play that game because they get their hands on some fancy shiny new hardware.
Assuming it comes out after March, yes. I
Yeah,
don't, because they've already said, the Nintendo president has already said during the last fiscal meeting that there's not going to be any kind of new Switch hardware this fiscal year, meaning the fiscal year ending on March 31st, 2023.
they could still
Um,
announce it in this fiscal year.
no, they can announce it, but it's not releasing. So if
Yeah, but
it's
I mean,
supposed
I
to,
can imagine them doing it in February, March, announcing it then, and then saying it's coming out in the holiday season.
no,
Because
I
there is
mean,
no other hardware coming out next holiday season, at least not that we know of.
the way they announced the Switch was they announced it in January, and then they said it came out in March. So if we go by that logic, they would announce something like that in either February or March, and then it
They
would
could
come
do
out
it
in like
before
April
the
or May.
yeah, so that counts in the new fiscal year.
Yeah. So in either case, that would actually be honestly, I would, like, jokes aside, I would actually love to see that sales like versus between like God of War and Breath of the Wild sequel, because I want to know like like the Venn diagram of like video game players that play both games, right? Like how big is that chunk?
Yeah,
It could be small, but it also could be way bigger than we thought. Because
yeah,
look at
exactly.
when Breath of the Wild came out and Horizon. To be fair, Horizon was a
Yeah,
new IP, but
yep,
there's people like instantly, especially in the review sphere, compared both of them
yeah,
like a lot, despite the fact that they're kind of not the same
exactly.
outside of being an open world game.
Yeah,
So yeah, wow, that would actually suck if, like, for example, Breath of the Wild came out on February alongside Forspoken. Sorry, no, Forspoken is January. Sorry again. No, I don't think Breath of the Wild sequel is coming out in January. I think if anything, it'll probably be February or March, or if it does tie into a new console release, April and beyond.
yeah. At this point, everything's possible.
Yeah, what's also apparently possible?
No,
A
enlighten
new
us.
a new Iron Man game from EA. So you remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about potentially a single player Black
Black
Panther
Panther.
game being
Yeah,
made by EA. Now there's a new rumor that says the same thing is happening, but for Iron Man.
I think they
Um,
have to because they had the Star Wars license exclusively, and then went away,
yeah,
so that they're looking at something else. I have said from the beginning that if EA is going to do a an Iron Man game, they have to use the flight tech in Anthem because that was literally just Iron Man. So they either have to have BioWare do it, or they need to have that mechanic in there because that was just so smooth.
yeah. Dang it, I can't. I can't see in the article which studio from EA would be working on it.
It's a fairly new studio, I believe.
Yeah, but Jeff Grubb dropped that bomb on, I think, an interview online or something, or like another podcast.
Yeah, could be
So, and Jeff Grubb is kind of like
Jason Schreier.
Jason Schreier, wherein he gets all like the good, like, juicy rumors, and they have a both of them have a very high um, credibility in that regard of it actually being fact, ending up being fact. So I wouldn't put it past him to spill the beans on something like that big. So yeah, EA making Marvel games. We haven't had a Marvel game triple A like that, well, since Marvel's Avengers from Crystal Dynamic. Um, and I
Are we?
guess, oh no,
I think
wait,
you're
Guardians.
confusing because that was not a AAA game.
No, that was an attempt to a triple A game.
I think
Is that better?
you could either say that Guardians of the Galaxy was a AAA
Oh,
game,
that
and
was
if you
definitely a
don't
triple
count
A
that
game.
one, then you can at least say then Spider-Man, Miles Morales was the last one.
I'm still counting Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Yeah, but Miles Morales, fantastic game as well. And
It,
Marvel Spider-Man, of course.
the PC version came out this week.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, or
People
last
are
week, and it's
and
really good
people
on the
are
PC.
really like, oh, it works so great on the Steam Deck. I'm like,
Yeah.
cool for like the 10 people that have the Steam Deck. That's great.
Well, but again, with the Steam Deck, I saw, for example, if you want to buy one, you can get it before the end of the year. So they have stepped up their supply
That's still free.
considerably.
That's still what, 6 months?
Yeah, but I think that's like at the worst, you get it at the end of the month. I
Hmm.
think you can still, or
Oh
at the
wait,
end of
the
the
end of the
year.
month. Oh,
And no, no, sorry, end of the year. So
yeah,
I think you
okay.
can still get it earlier. And what I love about the Steam Deck is that it has created this new category
For
for
PC gamers,
for
yeah.
PC gamers. And for example, Sony created a dedicated PC gamers website saying PlayStation on PC or something like that. And they're
Oh,
highlighting all their games that they have brought to PC. And almost all of the games they have brought to PC are Steam Deck verified. So even though Sony doesn't make their own handheld, they're basically saying you can take all of the PlayStation games on the go with you and still have a great experience
if you have a Steam
with
Deck.
if you have a Steam Deck. But what you're seeing now is that, for example, Aya, which is a Chinese company, I believe,
Hmm.
they are churning out even more and more different variations of their handhelds with different PC hardware.
Oh, did you see
So
the Air?
yeah, the Airs, for example, is pretty cool. It has an OLED screen. It's a smaller device, but it runs Windows on it, so you can play games on it as well.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
they
it's not
are
perfect, but it works.
exactly. And what you need in this market right now is a lot of competition because it will drive the price down. It will drive innovation forward. Heck, who knows? Maybe another company, a big company, might join this market,
Mhm.
and then we'll eventually have a new portable PC gaming category, which will
As long as Steam, Valve does not kill off the Steam Deck early, like did with the Steam machine, I'm
I
all
honestly
for it.
don't think they will because one thing that they have really nailed is that they have so many games coming to the Steam Deck that
Mm,
are being verified. And
yeah.
when it's verified, you know it runs great on Steam Deck. So I think that their push to get it as many games as possible verified so they can basically guarantee gamers like, hey, you'll have a great experience on this. And since it's a lot of AAA games like Death Stranding, Spider-Man, Days Gone, you name it. There's I think Cyberpunk is verified. I mean, you can take a lot of these games on the go, and that's something completely different than you sitting at home on your couch with your controller or behind your PC. And you can still dock the Steam Deck if you want to make it a PC experience out of it.
Yeah, with very okay, at least from initial reportings that I heard, the docking experience needs work.
No, definitely.
Um, and honestly, I still feel that the Steam Deck needs a revision before
I
it
think
gets
that
like
that's probably in the
super
works. Yeah,
mainstream because
yeah,
it's still really big and bulky.
yeah. And I
I
think they
that's
might
that's
ditch
why
a
the
lot of
Air
stuff.
exactly that's why the Air is very appealing, despite the fact that
Yeah,
it's tiny,
yeah,
um, and has a smaller screen. Even though it's 1080p, it's still a smaller screen.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's cool to see. It's cool to see, and I
yeah.
really hope that it drives the prices down. Unlike some other company that for some reason decided that they need to increase the price of their hardware.
Yeah, but I can see a new version coming out, which is basically a light version, which, for example, ditches the touchpads because I don't know how often the touchpads are used. I think like the main input are the analog sticks. So I can see a version coming out
Mm,
that doesn't have like the specific triggers, having like cheaper triggers and having not having the touchpads
well,
and not having the fancy analog sticks.
the problem with the iNeo Air
Yeah,
is that the controls on it is very finicky because it's still running Windows.
I'm
It's
talking
not
about
a
the Steam Deck,
Yeah, I
by the
know,
way.
but the
Oh, okay.
problem with that one, because you're talking about the touchpads. The reason why the touchpads exist is so that you have finite mouse controls
Mm-hmm.
for when you're playing, like say, like an RTS or something like that. You
Mm-hmm.
can't use the controller for that. That doesn't really work unless you
Yeah,
dock the Steam Deck.
yeah.
You kind of don't have that with the iNeo Air, because for that you'd either have to connect a wireless mouse, and that also seems to be a little bit finicky. because of the drivers, and also not all
Hmm.
the drivers are compatible with the Air, because it's a very bespoke piece of hardware. So I think the pads are here to stay for just the convenience of that.
I don't know. I mean, like they could do a lot of stuff to cut down on the hardware and to make it cheaper to bring out like a 299 version.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they could. I mean, the screen is 800p, so they don't necessarily need to have an OLED for that. It makes it look cleaner, like
Yeah.
on the Switch OLED, but they don't need it. So if they really wanted to cut back on cost, they probably would make one with just like an LCD screen or an
But this
LED
display
screen.
that's in it now is already an LCD.
No, it's an OLED, right?
As far as I know, it's not an OLED
Wait, it's
display.
not? Huh.
No.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought it was. Hmm. Now I'm really curious.
With a 7-inch touchscreen display. Um,
Because I thought it was. Oh yeah, you're right. It's LCD.
it's an
That is.
IPS LCD display.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah.
Huh. Then I don't know what they would do to like save on cost, other
They could
than
do a
using
smaller display.
that as a possibility. I'm assuming a cheaper, more energy efficient chip
Yeah.
would probably also save on it as well. Um, Maybe not having RTX,
I
but
don't
I
know.
think
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities for them.
hmm, yeah, I think something like that. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of ways they can cut costs, and I'm assuming eventually, and I'm not saying eventually in the short term. I'm saying eventually in the long term, because the semiconductor shortage is still a thing. Um, so I don't know when the prices of those components are going to start actually coming down at a reasonable rate. Because that is also a thing. At the very least, I think I don't know. I think Microsoft or Sony and definitely Nintendo have already said they're not gonna jack up the prices of their consoles.
No.
So that's actually good news to hear. Um, we did also hear that the production of uh, dang it, I want to say the PlayStation 5 got improved a while back, or
They
they said they
are
were going
striving to
to.
improve it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They made a promise to improve it by the holiday season.
Yeah, so they want to make sure that they have more units in stores for the holiday season and that they're doing everything in their power to increase supply and that they are actually seeing a difference in that because of the crypto crash, to put it that way. There's a lot of the demand for GPUs has dropped considerably. Like, for
Mm,
example, Nvidia has a lot of excessive stock in warehouses just gathering dust because nobody's interested in GPUs because they don't want to mine.
yeah,
So they're even talking about doing a phased launch that they will introduce their new generation of GPUs, that they will only do one model this year and then they will do the rest next year. Whereas normally they just say, we have four new GPUs, they're coming out each month is one, and these are the prices, that they're only going to do like a 4090 this year, and then next year they'll do like a 4080 and a 4070
yeah.
just so that they can get out of that stock they have. And they're doing also a lot of price cuts and discounts and whatnots just to sell as much units as they can.
When are they going to be announcing the new graphics cards, anyways?
The rumors have it that it's going to be August or September. Well, we're almost at the end of August, so probably in September, so it can come out in October.
Nice. I'm
Yeah,
look. I'm actually looking forward to that. I'm hoping that through that, the 3000 series gets like a decent mark down,
yeah,
so that then building a PC is actually viable again,
yeah.
with like decent graphics that don't get out of date in like 6 months. um, I think I think that's about it, unless there's any other news that I might have missed.
I think that's basically it. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing, yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, yeah, that's the only really interesting thing, and I don't see any like breaking news, and none of that, none of that. So Yeah, no, cool. All
Cool.
right. Stick around. We'll be right back with what we've been playing. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with the second segment. And as always, it's what we've been playing. So, Sean Templar, what have you been playing?
It's so hot, so I barely am in the mood to play anything. So I've just been playing some Battlefield here and there.
Mm,
Just still playing multiplayer. It's still fun. They brought out a new update recently. So what done is they've made the character models look a bit more realistic compared to how it was now, because now they look super clean and neat, and they've made them a bit more worn out, a bit more scarred, like kind of battle worn. So that's a
mm-hmm,
really cool addition. And they've also revamped one of the maps. There's a map called Kaleidoscope, which is set in South Korea. It's in this big metropolitan area, a lot of urban combat, but there was a lot of open parts that you could easily get picked off because there was no
mm-hmm,
cover. So they've added a lot of cover, like sandbags, forward operating bases. So there's a lot more smaller battles taking place. So that's really nice. There's another map that they're going to do the same treatment to, which is called Renewal, which is basically this map set in Egypt, where there's a wall dividing the map, and then at the one side of the wall it's the desert, and the other side is this green, lush farm environment where there are all sorts of buildings. So that they're going to revamp that soon. I think season 2 is also going to start soon. So I'm excited for that. It's basically Battlefield. You have these Battlefield moments, a lot of fun, a lot of dying. Yeah, but I mean,
by
it's just,
you.
well, I both die and kill others as well. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. I've always been a Battlefield fan, and when a Battlefield game sucks, I've been honest about that as well. And with this one, I'm being honest, and I like the direction it's going into. I just wish that the game launched like this instead of us having to wait 6-7 months to get to this state. Because
They're taking the Ubisoft approach, man.
yeah, but I'm afraid that it's going to do them more harm, because a lot of people are just going to stay away from the game, and then when Modern Warfare comes out, everybody's going to go massively play that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this game has loads of potential.
Well,
Next week, yeah,
I mean, well, Modern Warfare also has to like last for like 2 years. So
yeah. Who knows? I mean, I read the other day that Microsoft says that it is not feasible for them to make Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive, because it will simply not bring in enough money to make it into a profit.
yeah,
So we basically know by that way that, like, hey, PlayStation is still going to get a Call of Duty in the coming years. They might just not get exclusive content, which is completely fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
And next week on Thursday, I believe, F1 Manager is coming out, so I'm really looking forward to that.
I
The the
know.
the, the development team has been releasing more and more little videos around certain processes in the game. They've done a live stream last week. The funny thing is they did like this simulated season, so they did like how the grid looks in 2030. And you saw the weirdest of combinations and the weirdest teams, that like the worst team right now became champion 3 years in a row. So it's really cool to see how you can go from a nobody to a hero basically in that game. And from what I saw, that the customization and the amount of options you have in the game is pretty in depth. There's like a lot of stuff you can tweak, and there's a lot of data that you get. So I think like a lot of manager fans are going to enjoy this, because there's a lot you can dive into. It's not like, it doesn't look like a superficial simple game. I think it's going to be one of those games where if you don't know a lot, you'll still have a lot of fun, because you can, have a fun experience on the surface. But if you want to go deeper, that there's enough there for you to bite into and to enjoy it. So yeah, I'm gonna get it on PC, and if you pre-order it now, you get 5 days earlier access, which is basically the 25th.
Nice.
So I am really looking forward to it.
You pre-ordered it. Of course you did.
Of course, yeah,
Of course.
yeah. But that's basically what I've been playing. What have you been playing?
Well, the heat also kind of got to me, but also a bunch of stuff happening all at once. The first update to Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak came out about a week ago, as of this recording, as of this episode going live. So that was a little bit like, oh, okay. Um, kind of switch gears and play that a little bit. Played that on stream. Was I'm not I'm not at the rank to do the stuff that has been available for the update, which kind of sucks. So I've been trying to like brute force my way to like master rank 10,
Oh,
which has not been easy. And the okay, so the thing is, you've played Monster Hunter before, right?
only world.
Yeah. So you know you have two different things you can do. You can hunt a monster, so i.e. kill it, or you can catch a monster. For some reason, and I don't know why the meta is the way it is, the meta currently is like my what my mod on Twitch, Ling Ling, is like 60% and mostly what do you call them again? Light bow gun users or heavy bow gun users are
Hmm.
the ones who will always systematically capture. So even if you want to kill the monster, by the time it gets weak enough to be captured, someone does a capture, which sucks because I want to just kill it and just carve it up for parts. And it's really frustrating because sometimes it's fine if you capture a monster, but the rewards for capturing a monster are different from hunting a monster to death. Because for one, you get the parts that you carve, but you also get bonuses after the fact, and the bonuses differ from a capture and a hunt. And if there's a if there's a part of armor, if there's a weapon that you want to forge, and it requires you to hunt a monster, you're not getting that part if you capture it. So you have to either play it again solo, which is very annoying and very tedious, because you'll probably die more often than not, or you try and do it multiplayer and hope to crap that you don't have any light bowgun players. Sorry, light bowgun players. Um, and people are on the same wavelength and just do the kill.
Oh,
So that has been so much fun. If you couldn't tell from the audio version, that was me being very sarcastic.
I think people understood that part.
Um, so I've played that. Of course, I've been playing Xenoblade 3. And I did put that on a hold for like a week because I was very into like getting monster advancing in Monster Hunter. So I picked it up again recently, and I'm still in. I've gone from chapter 3 to chapter 4. 3 and 4 are pretty long chapters, by the way. I still haven't reached the end of chapter 4. Um, but there was this moment, this boss battle, man. Oh my god, I almost cried.
Oh
Like
wow.
it was, I was like, gosh darn it! Like this game's story is way more grounded. If that's, it's a weird thing to say, but it's way more grounded in the stakes. The stakes are way higher. The overall tone of the story is way more sobering. It's like it's all about questioning mortality and like what it means to be, of the opposing sides, when they had to put the differences aside and things change for them, and then all this stuff happens. And even till now, apart from the story stuff, like gameplay stuff, more and more gameplay mechanics are still being revealed, even though I'm 40 hours in,
Oh
and they're
damn.
really cool game mechanics because the way it like lets you learn these new mechanics is being distributed over a very good amount of time. So it's like, okay, you've gotten used to this mechanic. Okay, before this becomes stale to you, let's put in like a wrinkle and a twist that adds a new layer of complexity to it, which you need to pay attention to, and basically like reinvigorates the gameplay aspects of the game, which I do like. Um, the game is also gosh darn gorgeous, and the music is just I've said it before, but I'll say it again. The music is just gorgeous. Like probably like if anything, I know that Xenoblade 3 is probably not going to be contender of Game of the Year because the Xenoblade games have always been shafted by the Game Awards. But at the very least, the soundtrack, if that does not get nominated for Best Soundtrack of the Year, I will truly know that people shaft good music. Because, like, even if you just Google the soundtrack on YouTube and you listen to the soundtrack on YouTube, it's like, yeah, this is like peak. This is peak gaming music. Um, and I just wish more people would actually like play it. It's nice to see more people playing it, more people being interested in Xenoblade. But it's also not the best thing to like stream. That's why I've also not streamed it because I just want to experience the game for myself, the story and like take it all in. Outside of that, I've been playing some Taiko no Tatsujin, which
Oh
is
wow.
a drumming game. I actually played it on stream for a bit, and people seem to like that.
Wow.
Um, Played some anime songs and some video game songs in there. It's basically like this drum game where you play on a Japanese taiko drum. So if you've played Donkey Konga before back in the day on GameCube, it's kind of like that. That's probably the closest thing I can compare it to, without it without it not making sense. Um, so it's very fun. I recently bought more DLC songs for it because they added a bunch more. And the new game is coming out this fall, and they're putting out a new drum controller, which I'm gonna pre-order soon. So because I couldn't get the drum kit before, and it's super expensive when you buy it on the used market, but it's 75 euros for it new from Bandai Namco's own store. So I'm gonna pre-order it there, and then when that comes in, that's gonna be nice, and I can play it on an actual drum like I did back in the arcade when I was in Japan, which is like the coolest thing ever. Also, playing Taiko no Tatsujin on the drums in a hot arcade, you get sweaty really quickly. Outside of that, have I played anything else? I probably have, but I don't really remember. Nope, nope, no. I don't. I want to say yes. No, I haven't played anything else though outside of that. So that's it for me.
Yeah, it's a short one, but hey, maybe
Yeah,
next time
I
it'll
mean
be a
it's
bit.
hot. There are still a bunch of games that still need to be released. Splatoon 3 is coming out next month.
Yay.
They had a direct for that. That was fun to watch. Did a live reaction on that as well. Um, they're adding some cool stuff. I'm looking forward to it. I kind of want to play it again. I might play Splatoon 2 before it releases. They are having a global Splatfest on the 27th. So if you own a Switch and you're curious about Splatoon 3, that's probably the best time to try it out. So mark your calendars for August 27th. Make sure you have enough space on your Switch to download it and to participate.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it.
On that note, we have come to an end of another episode of Game Rivals. I hope you like the new setup. I don't know if we're going to stick to it, but hey, we like trying out new stuff.
We
Thank you
sure
for
do.
tuning in. You can find us on your favorite podcasting platform: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, Overcast. You name it, we're probably there. You can find us on Twitter, game_rivals_. You can find Maxemillian on Twitter as well, at Maxemillian. You can find us on Instagram at Maximilian_X and at Game Rivals. You can find Maximilian on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/Maximilian_X. You can reach us through email, gamerivalsfeedback@gmail.com. I think I have had them all.
Yep. And if you're listening on a podcasting service, uh, and that podcasting service allows for reviews, please don't forget to leave us a review. It helps with discoverability, the same as on YouTube. Don't forget to like and comment. Don't forget, of course, the most important thing. If you like the podcast, share it with friends, share it with family. Um, make that podcast get more recognized by other people.
On that note, I have been and always will be Sean Templar,
And I have been and will always be Maximilian X.
and we'll drum you on the next one.
Later.